this is Michelle at East Avenue Art, and today I'm going to show you how I did this watercolor painting in my sketchbook of these fun fall pumpkins. So I started with just a light sketch in my Etchr Sketchbook. I wasn't very happy with the spacing and the size of the pumpkins, so you can see because it was a light sketch, it wasn't too big of a deal to erase that and start over. So I just kind of drew these like lumpy ovals, and then I lightly sketched in where I wanted to put the stem. And here you see me activating my Mungyo paints with a little bit of a water bottle there. And I like to get my paints activated with water. It just helps me mix them up a little bit. And I was really mindful about my color palette this time, so I really wanted it to be very complementary colors. So I started with a very sort of typical orange, and then I wanted a very like light orange. I thought almost like a peachy orange would be really pretty, and then I wanted a peachy pink. I think orange and pink are so pretty together. And then I wanted a sort of deeper red. So you can see I'm playing around with a few of the reds there. And then one way that I add some like vibrance to a red is actually to add a little bit of brown in there. And I decided I want to go back to that peachy color and just get more of a, I'm really playing around with it. I wanted it to be a little bit more pinky than peachy. And then I decided I wanted to do at least one more um, color for my pumpkins. I ended up later on, after I painted the first four, doing sort of a really dark blue that I thought was very complimentary. So I'm starting with my lightest color, and I just get a lot of paint on my brush. And this is like a fun thing to do when you're new to watercolors, just learning how the paint interacts with the paper and deciding what you like, how much, water and how much paint do you want on your brush. And you can see I'm trying like dabbing in extra paint in certain areas, lifting paint in other areas. And those are just really fun things for you to do in your sketchbook to actually learn how what your preferences are and just how to work the paints in watercolor. And so, obviously you don't really need a lot of drawing technique either with this tutorial. So this is just kind of a fun one to practice. And one of the things I notice about red is it really, really stains the paper. And you can kind of see that, in some areas where I tried to lift up the red a little bit. Okay, and from here I'm going to mix up that last color, which is going to be sort of an indigo grayish. You can see I mixed in some indigo and a little bit of gray, and then I'm going to add some more water to this and end up with kind of a nice blue to complement the reds and the oranges and the pinks. And so I went in with my indigo color here and started out a little bit conservative, and then I sort of decided I wanted to drop in a little bit more of the full range of that color. So you can see I keep kind of adding in and building and dropping. And one of the things also that I would point out too that I like to do personally is to leave a little bit of white space. As you see, I've done that in all of the pumpkins. It almost suggests a little bit of a glare or where the light would hit an object, and it just adds a little bit of visual interest. It's something that I like in other paintings, so I try to incorporate it in, really highly illustrative pieces like this. And now I'm going to mix up a sort of olivey green for my pumpkin stems, and I will start with the paintings or the pumpkins that are dry, that have dry paint, because of course I just painted that blue one. So if I put in more, green wet paint, the green and the blue would mix, and I'm really not looking for that in this painting. I mean, sometimes it's kind of fun to get those color bleeds. It just wasn't really the vibe I was going for here. I think I did kind of not do a really smart thing there. I think that blue paint was a little bit still wet. So I think I got a little bit of a blend there, but it wasn't really something I was going for. And again, I'm kind of like want the paint to look inconsistent. I want some parts of the stem to look darker than others. I just kind of think that looks pretty, especially sort of near where the stem touches the pumpkin itself. I just would imagine there'd be more of like a shadow there. And so I wanted to reflect that. And I think, with a painting like this that's just super illustrative, it's fun because you can do whatever you want and whatever you think looks good. So you get a little bit of freedom there. And then one thing that I really love to do with illustrations is to add a little bit of a sketchy black liner. So I'm using my Pigma Micron. I think this is like a number 3 nib, and I'm just really quickly went in and sketched over those pumpkins, and then I wanted to dab in all the colors and sprinkle a little bit of like some paint splatter on top. I thought that added to like the fun effect. And you can also see I sketched in pumpkin season just for a little bit of fun to play around with lettering, which is kind of an interest of mine as well. I like to blend 2 different types of lettering, usually just like cursive or calligraphy with just kind of like a regular font. And here is my final piece in my sketchbook. So I hope that you enjoyed watching this. I hope you will try it yourself. And if you'd like to see more of this, please like and subscribe. Thanks.